All right, well, good afternoon, and thanks for joining us as we answer the question, why a smart factory matters in production printing. Let me just move the slide ahead here. There we go. There we are. So good afternoon. My name is Alan Filson. I'm the Director of Professional Services with Canon Solutions America, and I'm your moderator for part 2 of Why Smart Factory in Production Printing. I'm joined today by a panel of Canon Solutions America subject matter experts, including Dennis Susi, Senior Solutions Analyst and Finishing Specialist, Nick Thorne, Director of Product Support, Jane Nerf, Product Marketing for Workflow Automation, and Jeff Seringer, Cut Sheet Inkjet Product Manager. So to start, let's review what is happening in the book market today. Since the onset of COVID-19, book sales on things like outdoor skills are up over 74% from last year. Medical history books are up over 71%. This includes books on the 1918 flu pandemic. Games and activity books, as everybody's locked inside, they're up over 42%. Children's nonfiction sales also rose by 66%. And there's a significant rise in self-published titles, also known as indie books, as individuals recognize the ease of publishing and improved time to market. More importantly, in the past 6 months, changes have happened that no one could foresee. Changes in the availability and logistics of procuring books from the Far East has shifted demand to local U.S. market manufacturers. And with 2 of the largest book manufacturers on unstable financial ground, publishers are scrambling for alternative options to source books. These factors are accelerating the opportunities for small and medium-sized book manufacturers to minimize the publisher's risk. Add to this, the current pandemic has reduced labor forces and sent many skilled offset press operators into an early retirement. The companies are looking for ways to drive more volume with less people, making automation essential for meeting service level agreements while ensuring profitability. With all this happening, how are our customers currently producing books, and how could an automated solution offer added capability through throughput and increased profit margin? To help explain this, I would like to ask Dennis to go into some detail of what some of our customers are facing today.
All right, thanks, Alan. Appreciate it. Well, first of all, let's before we talk about the smart factory, let's talk about before the smart factory and kind of focus on a typical on-demand workflow for books. Orders are taken in and processed one by one by the back office or by an order intake management system. Each order is manually reviewed and sorted for format and media type and number of units, SLAs, and typically a job ticket is then produced in an effort to provide instructions to the staff in the next areas of the production workflow. Then a target printer and corresponding finishing system is selected based on the product capability and capacity planning. Once the target printer and finishing is selected, then the single-page PDFs are manipulated in pre-press to accommodate the specific layout and imposition required for that particular printing and finishing method. The imposition is typically laid out for the largest sheet size possible in that printing device to maximize throughput, media cost, and oftentimes to minimize click charges. Those are usually seen in 4 or 8-page signatures in a cut sheet environment, for example. So a fully imposed final layout PDF is then logged those files, so that you don't have to go back to the drawing board and recreate the imposition for another printer or finishing combination. The operator has to load the correct paper into the printer based on the particular job ticket request. Wouldn't it be great if you had a printer that could have several different media types and sizes already loaded, and the covers are laminated, and each one of those steps has a risk for missing or damaging items or losing page or cover sequence. Once the print production is complete for the book content, the operator then needs to carefully move the book content in the oversized sheet to the binder area where either multiple guillotine cuts are processed or signature folding down to the untrimmed book format size. And during this process, again, the operator has to be very careful not to mix up the page order or the sequence and the set integrity of the book blocks. After the book blocks are cut or folded, they are then again manually merged with the covers and transported over the perfect binder for the book binding process, hopefully with the correct cover to content order sequence. After the binding, the operator then brings the untrimmed perfect bound book to the cutter once more for a final trim of the head, foot, and face of the book. These trim values are normally stored via a pre-programmed setup within the cutter, or the operator has to load the final trim size into the system based on the job ticket information. Finally, after as many as four skilled workers and several hours of printing, cutting, binding, and trimming, the books are ready to be shipped. Hopefully, there were no errors along the way, and the targeted printer and finishing solution was up and running when it was needed. If errors did occur, could you imagine the reprint process? Basically, it's a complete do-over. Also, think about the challenge of product tracking updates within these manual steps. So what we discussed so far is a typical, less automated process for producing on-demand books. What if there was a way to reduce the number of operators down to just one, and also reduce touch points, aka risk opportunity, by adding rule-based file processing automation and tightly integrated printing and finishing all within one system? So that now brings us to our announcement. Alan? On mute.
Thanks, Dennis. Jeff, would you like to talk about that announcement?
I definitely would. So thank you for asking. So it's part of the Book Smart solution. We are announcing the Book iX solution. The Book iX solution couldn't be better suited for today's book marketplace. It delivers on all levels of work smarter, and the philosophy is let's work smarter, not harder. Through automated workflows, production planning, reduced touch points, and inline finishing, as Dennis had talked about, the Book iX improves job submission, it improves jobs changeover, it improves the setup time, and the production of the finished books. This enables book manufacturers to capitalize on new profitable opportunities while also investing in the on-book marketplace. So with the Book iX, it starts off with a very intuitive conveyance software package from Canon. Conveyance automated order system drives the brand new Canon varioPRINT iX series, which is partnered with CB Board, which includes two preparation modules, a perfect binder, and a challenge 3-knife trimmer. But to really appreciate this solution, you really need to see it in action. So Alan, why don't we do that?
All right, we'll do that. Oh, I'm sorry, hit the wrong button there. Let me get to the video section and let's run it.
The rise in high-quality inkjet digital printing technology continues to transform book manufacturing, helping reduce risk, minimize warehousing and return costs, and enable publishers to react to market demand. So how can you recognize the economies of scale in on-demand digital book manufacturing? Introducing Canon Solutions America's Book iX, a highly efficient end-to-end solution that helps simplify, streamline, and minimize touch points throughout the book manufacturing process in order to help improve profit margins. Book iX couples Canon's varioPRINT iX series with CP Borg Walkover Bridge, 2 preparation modules, perfect binder, and challenge 3-knife trimmer, all powered by the intuitive Conveyance Workflow software. Conveyance helps bolster productivity through rules-based processing that enables file transfer and job description format (JDF) information exchange to automatically pre-sort and batch jobs for high efficiency and optimal job changeover. Book cover and book text block batches are automatically queued to the varioPRINT iX series. Covers are immediately released from the print queue for printing and output to the auxiliary tray to be taken offline for lamination. An accompanying banner page bridges online and offline production steps using intelligent barcodes and human-readable information that describe the batched order's production steps. Conveyance intuitively adds barcodes outside the crop marks of the covers and text blocks to aid ink cover to content authentication, order tracking, automating bindery processes, and enabling reprint. Carrying the book covers from lamination to the CP board cover inserter is easily accessible using the walkover bridge. Once covers are in position, the operator scans the banner page barcode, sending a JMF command to Conveyance to release the text blocks held in print queue into print production. The text blocks are automatically printed in the same sequence as the covers. The varioPRINT iX series provides unprecedented productivity and quality with 1200 dpi resolution and the ability to print both monochrome text block and full-color images and covers on a single engine. This versatility helps open new market opportunities for book manufacturers and commercial printers who are looking to expand their portfolio offerings. With a 94% uptime and ability to reload media and consumables without disrupting production, the iX series can help ensure service levels agreements are met on time. In line with the varioPRINT iX series is the CP Borg Perfect Bind finishing equipment with its ability to change book sizes and page counts automatically from book to book. For 6.9 and smaller family formats, dual CP Borg preparation modules first creases and folds a large sheet in half. Then the second module rotates, trims the top and bottom of the folded sheet, and cuts again to produce 4 6x9 sheets. You also have the option of bypassing the first module and having the second module crease and fold a 2-up page. It is all about flexibility. The sheets are then fed into the Borg book compiler, which stacks the sheets into a book block. A barcode reader authenticates the cover matches the text block, then sends it along to the CPB 3002 Perfect Binder for binding. The bound book enters the cooling tower for the glued spine to cool while in transit to the trimmer. A final barcode scan confirms to Conveyance that the book is completed and adjusts the 3-knife trimmer and trims the book to the final trim size based on the data within the barcode. Finally, the Challenge CMT 330TC trims 3 sides of the book to its final size and displays the tracking of where the book is in the trimmer. The result? Finished books on demand, made possible with the Canon Solutions America Book iX. Isn't it time you turned the page and started a new chapter in book manufacturing?
Wow, that's a great video. So now that we've seen the Book iX solution, let's break it down. Jane, can you talk about this workflow?
Absolutely, Alan. Thanks. Let's talk about Conveyance, the workflow. Conveyance is an intuitive PDF rules-based workflow, and it's developed to automate high-volume, short-run production to help print providers successfully migrate from handling, managing, and fulfilling dozens of book orders per day to possibly fulfilling thousands of short-run books. The automation begins at order submission using an XML order file to increase the order integrity and eliminate any manual rekeying of order or job ticket information and the possible errors that can be associated. And then jobs within the order are automatically batched upon submission for the highest efficiency and optimal job changeover, as well as eliminating the stress of same-day decision-making in favor of an automated production planning, according to business rules. So this is done without losing the flexibility to handle rush jobs, reprints, and dynamic bindery, to reimpose or to reroute jobs in the case of a printer being down or something. Conveyance helps improve customer service with instant access to order status. It helps save on pre-press time through automated imposition templates, as well as the creation of barcodes to communicate finishing setup, the integrity of the order, and to communicate tracking status all the way back to the end user. These barcodes also bridge offline and online production steps, such as lamination, for a smoother, seamless production. Finally, Conveyance archives order entries and production data for real-time or historic reporting to help improve MIS invoicing, ERP inventory management, and provide measurable analytics to measure profitability and ensure business goals are met. Bottom line, Conveyance lets you work smarter and not harder, as has been said before, by eliminating that daily stress through automation. It provides our print service providers a competitive advantage to process more orders more frequently and more successfully. In this slide, Alan, you're looking at a bird's eye view of the Book IX, and everywhere that you see that turning gear with the letter C is Conveyance's geared up for automation logo that illustrates the areas within that production line where Conveyance is both relaying and receiving important information about the book production using JDF communications. Now, if we take a little closer look at the barcodes and the banner page that are automatically generated from the job description and the order file transfer, you begin to see just how these marks aid in the automation of book production. The banner page is printed with the batch of book covers, while text blocks sit in the production print queue. After the covers are laminated and placed into the finishing equipment, scanning that barcode releases the text blocks from the print queue. Looking at the book cover and the text block side by side, as shown here, you can see they're sort of color-coded. The barcodes on the leading edge ensures covers to text block matching, or the authentication before going into bindery, through a camera that's mounted inside the CP board compiler that reads both of those barcodes. The 2D barcode is actually used for reprint and is on every single page of the text block as well as the cover, and identifies the batch number, the job number, and the page number that needs to be possibly reprinted if in fact something got ruined in bindery. But it's more likely you would probably resend the entire book back and for reprint and flag it as such. Then the red font, the 128 barcode, that one sends job description format commands to the finishing devices for setup so that you can actually move your knife trimmer and adjust it for different size books in that production line. And then there's a human readable text is also available. So if in fact those covers were dropped for any reason on the coming from lamination and prior to being inserted into the CP board bindery, the individual could actually pick them up and recollate those because the human readable identifies the order in which they should be in that will then match the text blocks that's about to be released. So Conveyance prints covers in a descending order if they're going to be laminated, and then it is required to ensure that way that they are all then in ascending order for the bindery. So they're numbered accordingly. And with that, I'll pass it back to you, Alan.
Thank you. So Jeff, what does the varioPRINT IX series bring to the Book IX solution?
Well, Alan, when we're looking at the varioPRINT IX series, it provides unprecedented productivity and quality with 300 DPI for book manufacturers. Yeah, it's with the desire to have that end-to-end solution with automation that will help drive labor costs down and productivity up. So with a 94% uptime and the ability for operators to reload media on the run, to load consumables on the run, without disrupting production, the IX series can help ensure that service levels are met. The IX series now allows customers the ability to print both monochrome text blocks as well as full color covers, all within a single engine. Now, this allows customers to also open new markets for the expansion into full color educational, scientific, trade, and also the photo book industry. And finally, the varioPRINT IX can also make one-off books just as economical as printing a large title order, with all the confidence and the consistency with the varioPRINT I-Series. The other part of the I-Series, it offers media versatility. It gives our customers flexibility in all different types of medias that our customers can now run, such as our dulls, mattes, gloss-coated medias from 60-pound GSM uncoated all the way up to a 300 GSM coated or uncoated stock. But by providing this type of workflow with Conveyance, the IX series can have a very positive impact on productivity and also time to the market. Inkjet, as you know, Alan, is very consistent technology. So when a customer has to reprint a book, the IX series gives our customers the confidence that all the books will match, even if they were printed months or even a year apart. The other part here, Alan, is our automated workflow with Conveyance are set up to provide the correct media specifications, as well as the correct corporate colors with our built-in color management, no matter who is operating that press at the time. So with all that, the IX series delivers consistent quality, high productivity, media flexibility, and customer confidence, which will allow them to drive more profit and more business. But there's more. There's more to this story, because I don't want to spoil the ending here. So I'm going to toss it back to you, Alan, for the final chapter in this story.
Thank you, Jeff. So Dennis, how does the story end?
The ending, like all Canon solutions, is not surprising. I mean, the customer wins. The Book IX solution has the capability to produce fully finished books automatically when in line with the IX series press. The solution also features the ability to change book size and page counts automatically from book to book, making this an ideal solution for any job, for short runs and reprints to your long production needs. CP Borg products feature JDF JMF connectivity, which allows Conveyance to control the equipment without operator intervention. With the solution, you can be confident that the books will be produced efficiently with consistent quality. Next. You mind starting that video for me there?
Absolutely.
varioPRINT IX series is the CP Borg perfect bind finishing equipment with its ability to change. Second module rotates, trims the top and bottom of the folded sheet, and cuts again to produce 4 6x9 sheets. You also have the option of bypassing the first module and having the second module crease and fold a 2-up page. Sheets are then fed into the Borg book compiler, which stacks the sheets into a book block. A barcode reader authenticates the cover matches the text block, then sends it along to the CPB 3002 Perfect Binder for binding. The bound book enters the cooling tower for the glued spine to cool while in transit to the trimmer. A final barcode scan confirms to Conveyance that the book is completed and adjusts the 3-knife trimmer and trims the book to the final trim size based on the data within the barcode. Finally, the challenge of CMT 330TC trims 3.
I'm not sure what happened.
Well, that's okay, Alan. Basically from there, all of this happens on demand, enabling book manufacturers to meet their production needs quickly, and allows them the opportunity to grow their business due to the efficiency gains of automating this process. So with this pre-tested and certified finishing solution, you have a smooth implementation and process and ramped up production so you can get to revenue fast while ensuring 100% document product integrity. So what a great ending. Wouldn't you agree, Alan?
I agree. No surprises, and the best part, it's all supported with Canon service and support. Yeah. In the perfect world, it's call, connect, fixed. But there's more to it than that. Success takes teamwork, partnership, and shared infrastructure. Nick, can you tell us a little bit more?
I certainly can, and that's right, Alan. So a remote connection is there to help us, help you, the service provider, the print service provider, to help us. And that's where the teamwork and the partnership comes in. That remote connection makes a whole world of difference. So perhaps I'll be able to show you a couple of ways that we in Canon use this. So this slide looks a little bit busy. However, it's showing a closed loop that really summarizes all of the factors of Remote Connect. So at the top left, where you see the ORS and the Atom logos, the machine is monitored both remotely here in the US, and to be fair, at the factory. And the machine also sends out machine data and triggers on a regular basis. So in addition, if the customer calls an error in, as an example, a print quality issue, then our technical department can query the machine remotely for greater detail. And that's basically what we call visit preparation. So then we can get the tech to ensure that he knows what he's going to, he knows what the first line of attack will be, he knows the most prominent fixes, he can confirm he's got the right part in the car, and therefore it's a very efficient visit should it need to happen. Now the maintenance scheduler calculates the upcoming maintenance by volume, because again, your machine is reporting into the server, and the server can see the volume, and the result is sent to the maintenance planner on the GUI, on the user interface, and also to our back office. So as a result, either a technician or perhaps a lead operator on site can perform those tasks in accordance with the customer's workload, not when we turn up, not when the machine necessarily needs it, but in accordance with the customer's workload. So those details are then entered into the user interface, they're sent back to the data center, and then the closed loop monitoring starts again. So it's really a benefit to everybody, not just the customer, not just ourselves. It's a unified benefit. Next slide, please. Thank you. So in addition to this remote connection, we have service tooling, obviously, and that complements today's service offering. Now, that tooling includes a program called ADAM, which is the Advisory Dashboard for Analytical Maintenance. So what is that? That's every technician carries that on his PC. It's one process, one program across all models, adding focus and applying a repeatable process, which is a good thing with a large workforce like ours. Now, the program provides a machine work list to the technician and gathers the technical data as he disconnects or she disconnects. So that's a very important program for us. And as I said earlier, the maintenance scheduler, well, that maintenance scheduler also allows a 6-week forecast for upcoming maintenance activities. So this enables us to proactively service the machine in accordance with the customer's needs. And again, we know what's been done on the machine. We know what needs doing on the machine. So what does that mean? It means basically we can get the right part, the right person at the right time to complete the right task. We can tell the customer how long that PM is going to take, what part's going to be used, and what the end result will be. And on the subject of the end result, we also run algorithms, and they shadow the data to ensure that our proactive service that we're so good at is very successful. And again, this is continuous improvement. Next slide, please. Thank you, sir. Two other reports we get from the machines. On a daily basis, we get automated reports from a program called PIC, shown in the top left-hand corner there. That's the Printer Information Center, and also error exception reports. Now, these reports are sent in on a daily basis from the server. Every machine is reported to the server. The server then sends these reports on a daily basis, and they indicate the underperforming machines in our MIF, the machines in the field, for a proactive intervention. So basically, they raise their hand and say, hey, I have an issue. Maybe a motor's got too much current on it. That allows service then to connect remotely and address the issue by either asking the customer to clean the belt if the motor's driving a belt, or maybe send a technician in to clean the belt, or if it's really getting to the point of failure, send a technician in with the motor and the belt, and therefore we're being proactive before it fails. We get to fix it. Configuration management is very important. In days of old, we used to send a technician in with a dongle or a license to change the config on the machines. Today, that's done remotely. There's no travel time, there's no wait time, it's immediate. If it's wrong, we fix it there and then. So it's very important, obviously, for this connection. And we're called Canon's Solutions America. And having CP Borg on the end of the IX, it's important for us in service to have one solution to see that both the printer and the finishing solution, the finishing system, as one remote offering. So we're working very closely with CP Borg getting that done, along with other providers, to be fair. So in summary, if you have and when you have the remote connection, you get a higher uptime and a smoother operation. That's very evident and proven. We have real-time troubleshooting. There's nothing better than having real-time troubleshooting. You know, in days of old, somebody would put the call in. There was a problem with a widget. You go out there. Which widget? There's 1,000 widgets. But today we know which widget. We know what the problem is. Is it the motor driving the widget? Is it the widget itself? Is it the result of it not driving? We can plan ahead our operations. It's much better for us. It's much better for you, the customer. And this big data that we collect, it drives improvements both of today's machines and future machines at the factory level, because we can actually see the machines functioning in a real environment and not a test environment and not on a production line. So for ourselves, remote connection is very important. For the customer, it's important, and it's a win-win. Alan.
Thanks, Nick. You know, it just seems in today's world, a smart factory is no longer optional. It's becoming a necessity to stay competitive in the marketplace and ensure profitability into tomorrow. You know, I would like now to open the floor up for questions. So jump into the chat or jump on and ask them any questions you have.
There was one question from one of our most loyal attendees. His name is, his title is RRRCCC, and he was asking whether the covers could be embossed and gold foiled internally. And I was just like, well, you do that offline together with your lamination. So I take that he says that is thank you for the answer, so I know that he got it. Then he's asking how the spare parts and maintaining can we reuse the electrical components. I think that RC is not from America, so maybe that relates to, you know, different situation. And I don't know if you as Canon is in America is able to answer questions in relation to how service and maintenance is in other countries.
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
He says
I think it's basically he's looking for RoHS compliance, maybe.
Yeah.
Right. And we because we're a European company, we're driven downwards towards RoHS compliance. So anything that is manufactured with that in mind at first. And on the return process, anything that is considered hazardous has predominantly been removed from the process, but otherwise gets captured on the return process. I believe that's what the question is, but that's a topic from, I don't know, 12 years ago or so, RoHS compliance.
I agree, and I think that you know, sometimes if you come from countries where RC has asked a lot of questions during the sessions, and he has not told me. Maybe you can answer this, RC. Are you from India or from where are you from, basically? Because he is in the newspaper industry, and it seems that they want to move into digital. So he has basically been on all the sessions all of the week, and relevant, good questions in relation to where he maybe has his roots from, right? Without jeopardizing or saying anything negative about that. Let's move a little bit back to the presentation I just saw. First of all, I think it's I can't remember how many years you've been, not you, but you as an industry, we as an industry have been talking about the books of one production, right? And now it's here, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember when I worked in a printing company many years ago, it was like, okay, we can make one book, and if we can make many books at the same number of pages and same spine size and same format, less of an issue, right? but to move it to where you have totally variable on format, on page count, and everything like that, that is simply a huge step forward. I know that machines have been able to do that for some years, but when you introduce a combined product like you just spoke about now, is that because you see particular advantages in supplying a let's say a tested and fixed one solution that do the job?
We can all answer that, right?
Yeah.
go ahead, Jeff.
That was a yes, right?
I'm always the end, right? So I can talk about the finish, and you do at the beginning, or Jane. First of all, I don't know if you're familiar that the CP Borg solution that you saw on the back of the IX, that was a customer-generated request that became a Canon Solutions America project in combination with what you videotaped in Venlo. So that was our project driven by the U.S. Everything about it was made as a result of the U.S. request and intellect, which combined then with Belgium, CP Borg directly, and as well as our support team in Venlo from product marketing, from R&D. So all of that combined together to produce this solution for customers customers in particular, but in a generic need for the industry.
Fantastic. Another thing I couldn't help think of also in that beautiful video was one of the things that I think a lot of printing companies today take a little bit for granted is that you see print on nice glossy paper, nice surfaces, everything like that. I think that maybe it's important also when you talk about book production, and if you said something about that in the presentation, I'm sorry, I did hear everything, but sometimes you miss a few dots. And I was just thinking because the uncoded and offset paper is definitely also something that is extremely valuable in the book production, and that you manage too, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's in the past we would utilize some other technologies to print the covers onto another device, like our image press. We have that flexibility, and the software is flexible enough to move files to other devices, and it's very intuitive that way. But now with the IX, we can do it all within one machine, with still the flexibility of moving jobs around based on certain customers. So it's all flexibility.
I couldn't help also watching all the barcodes that automatically reprograms the 3-knife trimmers and the format sizes and all the data throughout the book finishing and print process. And they said that it was like also with competitors. So I take that Burg and Technow and some of the other finishing suppliers could be part of that. Is that something that are you aware whether this is already part of that solution that you provided here?
Do you know what they called that?
No, I don't know what it's called yet, because it was announced in a slide where it says that Honkler was announcing this, and I think it was like a first announcement yesterday. But they said to us that it was I saw that Mark Hunt was here a second ago. Mark, if you hear this, do you know the name of the technology that you and Hans announced yesterday? I can't recall if there was a name on it, but it was essentially
not ICE. Was it ICE? Or
no, that's Horizon. No,
okay.
No. This is as far as I remember, it was remember. It is it's as you have the interface between the printer and the finishing equipment.
Yep.
They announced yesterday also a bridge in the electronic workflow between the two things. Mark is answering here in the chat, not aware that this standard has a name yet, so maybe that's a little premature. It should be implemented already. But
we sold 2 already on this call.
Yeah, you did that. Yeah, you did that. That's fantastic.
Thanks, Mark.
That's great. Okay, so I was just curious because, of course, when you do everything is in an automated workflow, it makes a lot of sense if you have everything aligned, also cross-render, again, as also related to what we spoke about in the first session, right? So I was just a little bit ahead of Mark's and Hans's time. Sorry about that.
I think part of that is what Nick had talked about from a support standpoint, supporting the back ends, and our finishing partners, and supporting the entire configuration. Part of that is with our conveyance software is sending the information to those finishing partners. And the finishing partners are embracing that technology through the automation, and that's a big part of the conveyance solution. And with Book IX is everything is working in conjunction with one another for one common goal, and that is to produce books of one in a very reliable fashion.
Yeah, and when he says books of one, this is where conveyance does come into play, right? If you remember from another session where we have this big tub, the tub fills up and you fill it up into smaller buckets. So the customer typically, in our experience, hasn't had a lot of control over the incoming files, right? So they also don't have control over the SLAs. So they're trying to continually ship out jobs, and they could be small format, large format, cream paper, white paper, all over the place. We're filling the bucket up, and then the tub up, and then filling up the smaller buckets, and using this logic that we've developed with our finishing partners to optimize what the finishing is going to do. So instead of doing a small book, a large book, a small book, a large book, which would require a changeover inside the mechanics of that device, be it only a few seconds and all automated.
Yeah, it adds up.
It adds up, right? So what we do is we work with the customer to say, what timeline do we have? How big of a bucket are you allowing us to use? And if we have a bigger bucket, then we can release that information or those files in the pre-sorted way so that it keeps the finishing at its optimum as well as the printing.
And
while still meeting SLAs. Sorry.
Yeah, and I take because that was the thing, and I take that also that makes a lot of sense, because since you are taking the covers for the trays and maybe sometimes for offline finishing or enhancement, then it makes a lot of sense, because I guess that your bucket kind of picture also allows the system to let's get rid of all the covers first so they can get their offline processing, and then you can bring everything back, and then you have everything aligned in the right order, right?
Well, you could do it either way. I mean, the IX has the ability to print the covers and subsequently laminate and then process. But we leverage a lot of some of our customers who have existing image presses, for example.
To use that as a cover printer.
For example, right? So produce the covers, laminate, knowing that they're, as Jane said, in the correct ascending or descending order. The jobs are already sitting at the printer queue at that point. When the operator then comes over with that stack of covers that are in the correct sequential order and a barcode on top, they scan the barcode. That releases the jobs that correspond to those covers, and then we do a validation check later with the barcodes to make sure that when we are in fact binding that book, that the cover matches the content.
Perfect. And what we saw here today was the IX series. It's a single device doing all of that, but that text block could just as easily be sent to a continuous feed, and that's one of the advantages of Conveyance, is the ability to do that late bindery. So if in fact you had a high volume and you needed to rush that out, and as opposed to maybe keeping it on the IX, you may send the covers to an image press and the text blocks to a color stream continuous form. Wow. And then those could be then brought together maybe in a Hunkler Gen 8 or something, if it was like a Pro Stream with a Gen 8, to actually do some of that bindery offline. And all that is also done with that barcode banner page accompanying those covers over to that finishing device, and then we just release from then the color stream, but Conveyance will actually reimpose that job on the fly to go from cut sheet to continuous form without having to go back to the pre-press.
And that also beautifully ties to what we spoke about in the previous session about having this cross-vendor compatibility, so you can actually pick and choose the equipment that is right for the application in relation to the SLA and in relation to whatever terms you have set up with your customer, right? So I think it's beautiful. The book series here, is that like also relatively new to the market, or how long time have you been presenting that combined solution?
So we do have what's called a Book Smart suite of products, and that does incorporate, take some of the core components of Conveyance, and actually does bring that then to the continuous feed devices if they already have investment in Prisma production or other that then they could still produce books, and we do have existing customers that are doing that today.
But I was more thinking about now we've been talking about the IX book combination here, and I was just thinking, is this the combination of the IX and the CP Borg? Is that already out there in the market, or is that still too new for that?
No, we do have installations.
And have you got any first feedback from customers? I mean, every time you see a new solution like this and you get customers, I take that you are eagerly anticipating to get some good feedback from them, right?
Absolutely. So we are working on case studies, at this time to make available. And Jeff, I don't know if you posted one already to the site.
Yeah, there's one posted already for local customers, as well as another printing impressions was just announced with Books International. So they are looking at a couple of the IXs.
Perfect. Deborah Korn has a question, and she says, sorry if not related, but how does Prisma fit into Conveyance Workflow?
So if in fact someone is doing maybe, as I mentioned, Conveyance is a PDF workflow, but say they were trying to produce books that were using other data streams or or maybe they were outsourcing their book production and doing other types of applications on a color stream with a Prisma production. We could then take some of the core components, which is like that advanced JDF processing component of Conveyance, and integrate it with Prisma production. So really, we're flexible in that regard of meeting customers' needs and their current investments.
Sounds great. I want to congratulate you on both the presentation here and of course the products and everything we've been talking about for the past 2 hours. Do we need to talk about anything more, or have we covered most of the things that we spoke about that we wanted to talk about? I think
Martin, I was just going to say, when we talk about the data going, to the finishing device, it's really, the system's not one-dimensional. It's not one-directional. There's also information that goes from that finishing device, from the printer, back to the MIS system to say, hey, it used this much paper, it took this long. That data is also being passed back for tracking purposes.
And for after calculation, I take as well, right?
Absolutely. Inventory management, all those things. Yep.
That sounds great.
Also, shipping instructions. So the book has been finished. From a tracking standpoint, you always, people call in and say, "Where's my book?" Well, with the software, we can track it all the way through the systems, and we have feedback that is providing that feedback.
And that just reminds me of a question. So, in the Canon's opinion, how far away are we from having lights out production when it comes to books production?
Well, quite frankly, we're there. So.
We're there. Okay, so it's just a matter of having books with enough big letters so you can read them in the dark, right?
Yeah.
Well, the biggest challenge is the printers are so fast and they keep running that your lights are only going to be off for a little while, and then there's not going to be any more paper left. So at some point, you got to have somebody there to load paper.
That's right. Yeah.
But that
as
can
far
be
as
solved,
the workflow part of that, as jobs are submitted right now using this XML file delivery and JDF commands, it goes directly from submission right into that order management or production management queue, and instantaneously, based on those business rules that are established, those covers are released to print promptly, and then it is waiting for you to say, okay, my covers are ready, they're in the finishing, ready for you to go ahead and release a text block, which is already in queue also. So as far as that part of scheduling, that part is basically lights out right now with this solution.
But I think that, I don't know how it's in America, but there's a lot of the digital printing companies I visited, some of them maybe have 2-3 shifts and maybe not 4 or 5 shifts. And I was just thinking, when we talk about that, the capabilities of what you're talking about here, you could set up like a ghost shift just before you leave the last shift, and then you have filled up the machine with the papers and covers and everything, go home, and next morning you have whatever can be produced, right? I mean, so it gives also a financial opportunity to printers who don't think have staffing and orders enough for like full extra shift, but they have extra job that they could put on that kind of ghost shift, right?
We actually couple that with the ability for remote viewing of the. I know Jeff has been working on a project where we have a Kindle or an iPad being able to remote into the printer to see what the status is, and actually even at times operate the system as well.
Absolutely.
I can't help think about, because when you look at some of the bigger one-off books companies, like for example Amazon's, I don't know what equipment they use, but I know that they often have these on-demand productions. I mean, this must also be an opportunity. I mean, if you're not selling to companies like Amazon, this gives an opportunity for smaller printing companies to actually compete in that market space, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the other thing is, from an operator standpoint, there's a lot of tools that are automated within the system, from making sure that the quality is optimum. Nick talked about how we can dial into the equipment to keep it operational. We've got apps that we can download to phones for the operators, and they'll get a call or a tweet that, hey, I need some help, I need paper, I need ink, please unload the other finisher. So that operator can also be doing dual tasks within the print shop. So it's all about, it's making sure the production is running, but also utilizing everybody within the print shop.
Yeah, and by the way, once the product is developed and released, we don't typically stop there. We continue to meet with our, for example, the vendors, and with our customer feedback, then go back and say, here's what we're continuing to improve on our printer. Here's what's been recommended for improvements on your finishing device, both feature set as well as mechanics, right? So that we're not just kind of stopping where we start.
Yeah. But that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, I actually presented one. I actually don't know if it's a product of yours anymore, but I presented in my presentation about Web to Print 2 days ago about this software called Kite. Jane, do you know, is this still a Canon product?
No.
Oh, okay.
Kite?
Yeah, okay, because it used to be a Canon product, and I thought it was great because that actually served what you're talking about. Then is that sometimes you also need the APIs for integrating it into services where you can have, any kind of company that do not see themselves as a printing company but serving data directly into the workflow, and that to me just made a lot of sense what you said there. So cool. Well, guys and Jane, it has been a pleasure to meet you here online. I'm a little bit disappointed that no more people, because we have got a lot of people that signed up and been interested in this thing. So that is a little bit a shame, but I appreciate that you kept the flag high and they did a wonderful presentations, and I guarantee that we will do our very best to make sure that it is justified in the replays. I guarantee that. So thank you once again for your continuing support of INKISH and the things we do, and for your time in spending time on preparing 2 good demos, and I hope a good conversation as well. I don't hope you found
there's one more question out there if you wanted it. I don't know if you have time.
Yeah, of course. Oh, yeah.
I think it goes to Jeff there.
Is there any standardization of the machine quality check up by densitometer?
Internal quality checks, Jeff.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It's always monitoring the machine, looking at the nozzles, how the performance of the nozzles are through inspection sheets with our camera. As you know, Canon makes cameras, so it's utilizing camera systems in order to see these paper going into the machine, as well as monitoring the performance of the nozzles of the heads. To keep them optimal. So, absolutely.
But I'd say it's not densiometric; it's spectrographic, right?
The cameras are looking at different types of informalities within the flow of the image. Yes.
So it's a comparison to PDF, basically. Yeah. Okay. Great. Okay. Yeah.
Also looking for jet outs and doing nozzle correction, right? So if you have a jet out, we'll overcompensate the heads on either side of that to fill that void in a temporary until the printer goes into a maintenance mode. So there's a lot. A lot of intelligence built into the system.
Maybe at some other point it could be interesting, because I think that also we had a presentation of the new AlphaJet earlier this week, yesterday. The days fly by. Yesterday or the day before, and a lot of you guys, you obviously know a lot about inkjet because you practically own that market. I think that sometimes it could be interesting to see to share on a non-vendor level more about what is the redundancy on droplets, what is the size of things, what is the thing. I know that Elizabeth Gording has written some books together with you guys about or using Canon as a sponsor. I don't know exactly. I read the book when I was in Boca actually, and I found it actually good. Sorry?
The designer's guide for inkjet?
Yeah, and I think I actually asked you, Jeff, because one of the surprises I had when we spoke about the i300 and the Color Stream and the Pro Stream eventually, I remember that one phrase in the book was that the color gamut on inkjet devices were lower than on offset, but that is not the case today, is it?
No.
No.
Yeah, it's in fact we exceed the graphical standard that's out there today with the IX. So it opens a lot of possibilities for us.
Yeah. So if people read that old book, which I did, we have to correct that as well, right?
It is
but the redundancy.
We'll put that on the to-do list.
It also depends on the technology, because we do have some inkjet that is like in the boundaries of what offset can do, but with new introduction of the IX and the Pro Stream, we're exceeding those boundaries now.
that was my impression too, and especially when I saw some of the print samples. I think that both Canon and HP is very good at making print samples, showcasing your technology, because when the day is over, one thing is reading about all the things, but when seeing it is often the thing that really convinces you about whether technology fits into your production environment and to your customers, right? So I think that's good that we just underscore that. But so with the camera inspection, just now I'm just a little curious. But so with the camera inspection, you compare PDF to the actual print, and that is so fine that you can actually see if there is any fallouts of nozzles or anything that is artifact in the print, even though it's like tiny little things.
Yeah, I mean, the nozzle is half the size of a human hair, and we're
Wow.
laying down, millions of dots every second. So you can just imagine the algorithms that it's going through. So, and it does it in real time. And when it sees it, it makes the correction without an operator having to really do anything. And we've taken a step further, even with service, where the uniformity of the page typically would generate a service call. So now we've eliminated the capability of having to now place a service call where the machine can automatically make the adjustments when it sees it needs to make them, and keep the productivity high. So it's there's a lot of technology inside the machine.
Oh, yeah.
I could go on for probably an hour or plus just talking about it. It's actually very fascinating on what is going on inside of the IX technology.
Yeah. And that's what's going on inside. Also, we for the cut sheet specifically, we also partner with Videc, and with Videc, we're able to do post-print evaluations, and there you can archive, you can do checking of data, validating against a known file, for example. You can also do secondary checks for print quality, look at multiple different fields. There's so much you can do in addition to what the printer's already doing as far as corrective action inside the printer.
I can't help think about, because you also invented quite a lot of new technologies in relation to the I can't remember the name of your pre-coding. What's it called?
Pre-coding, not us, but color grip.
Yeah, color grip. That was, sorry, I just forgot the name of the ad. So you developed
it's a conditioner. So
So
based on that conditioner, it's expanded the capabilities for the customer.
I'm sorry, I forgot the name. I know what we're talking about here, but I was just thinking that is also something that Canon has invented, and that goes also with the double drying system and all these kind of things. So from a printer's perspective, if they invest in this equipment, it has a lot of the capabilities that have you, as you say, you listen to the market, but you also invented technology that supports both speed, quality, redundancy, all the issues that if you look at the first generations of inkjet, of course, there's been a long time since then. But if you look at it today, this is definitely something where if a traditional commercial printer who has never been in digital before, now we are definitely moving into that market space where all the things that you could have reasonable doubts about in the past is done to shame now, right?
You
just better say act fast, because you don't want to be the guy that doesn't have the IX first.
Well, I'm just a media, so why should I have one? But
that was to them.
I'll just say, if you can sell one to me, you can sell one to everyone in the world. I guarantee.
It's definitely a game changer for us.
Yeah, I know that. Well, guys, thank you again very much, and Jane, and I hope to see you at some point, maybe in Boca, maybe at some. If there will ever be trade shows again, at a trade show, or maybe on at another opportunity. I enjoyed talking to you. I hope you enjoyed it too. So thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. Take care. Good luck with the rest of the event.
Great to see you.
Great to see you. Come on down anytime.
Thank you very much. Bye.
When you're looking at inkjet technology, it's the reliability, it's the consistency. technology, it's the reliability, it's the consistency. So you have to ask yourself, the jobs that I'm doing today, am I running the job and it's done and it's out, or do I have to spend a lot of time on the job in order to get it out?